Well, hello everyone. I welcome you all at Smarty Education. Today we have to start with entrepreneurship scenario. So in this chapter, we will get to know a lot of things related to an entrepreneur, and scenario means the environment related to entrepreneurship in India. So this chapter is a very simple chapter. My first and last request to all of you is that please watch the lecture till the end. So let me begin with the lecture. So the first question arises on all of your mind is, what is an entrepreneurship? What is this concept? Okay, so let's get to understand what is entrepreneurship. First of all, the activity or setting up of a business or businesses taking up on financial risk in the hope of profit is known as entrepreneurship. So in this sentence, we get to know that when someone finds an opportunity and do the business on financial risk, it is known as entrepreneurship. Those who do this are known as entrepreneurs. For example, Ritesh Agrawal also always wanted to become the entrepreneur, so he became the entrepreneur and he is known as entrepreneur. Okay, and we all know that he started Oyo rooms. Okay, so let's get to understand different schemes in entrepreneurship scenario in India. So the first one is Make in India. So Make in India means please make in India, in manufacture in India and sell in India. So let's get to understand. As soon as the BJP formed the government in India, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi launched Make in India on September 2014 to make India's global manufacturing hub as the draft proposal to attract investment from both local and foreign corporate houses. So what do you mean by this? First of all, BJP formed the government, and on September 2014 to encourage manufacturing in India, the BJP government launched Make in India scheme to encourage both local and foreign corporate houses in 25 key areas. Remember this, very important from your MCQ point of view. It has identified such as automobiles, chemicals, textiles, aviation, etc. Okay, it has established an investor facilitation center to assist foreign businesses locate partners. So whenever a foreign company arrives in India, it has so much difficulty to find the local partners and sites to manufacture in India. So to make this simple, Investor Facilitation Center was established in India. Investor Facilitation Center was established in India in order to assist those foreign firms. While a slew measure means some small of the measures have been initiated for domestic. If we do all the things for foreign companies, then what will be left for our domestic company? So which were revealed after Modi government unveiled the Stand Up India. So Stand Up India was launched for domestic companies of India initiative in his Independence Day address in 2015. Means on August 2015, Modi government launched Stand Up India. Okay. So now let's get to understand Stand Up India. This is a very great scheme launched by BJP government. The first thing that we get to know about this scheme, the scheme aims at promoting entrepreneurship among women, scheduled caste and tribes. The scheme is anchored by Department of Financial Services and Ministry of Finance. Remember Ministry of Finance because it has been asked in your ICSI mock test, and Government of India. The next thing we get to know about Stand Up India is that it facilitates bank loans between 10 lakh and rupees 1 crore, but the borrower should be SC, ST or a woman. Okay, for setting up a greenfield enterprise. Now you all must be asking, what is a greenfield enterprise? So the greenfield enterprise means doing business in the field of agriculture. Okay, now let's see our next thing related to Stand Up India. Enterprise must be in manufacturing, service or trading. Manufacturing basically means physical goods, manufacturing physical goods. Service means with dealing in intangible goods. Intangible goods means which we cannot see but only can feel. Now, in case of non-individual enterprise like company is an artificial person and is not known by its members. Enterprise, at least 51% of the shareholding of the company and controlling should be either held by an SC or ST or a woman entrepreneur in the company if we are taking a loan under Stand Up India and we have formed a company. Okay. Now let's get to move on to our next thing, eligibility for Stand Up India. So in Stand Up India, what is the eligibility criteria for getting loan under Stand Up India and getting benefits under Stand Up India? So eligibility, the word eligibility basically means certain criteria for Stand Up India. Okay, the first thing is that SC, ST of woman entrepreneur above 18 years of age should be in the Stand Up India in order to get loan. The next thing is loans under the schemes are available for only greenfield project. That's what I already told you in the previous slide. The next thing is in case of non-individual enterprise, that's what we studied in the previous slide. Okay, borrower should not be in default to any bank, financial institution. So what do you mean by this argument? So this argument basically refers to that for example, if A is a person and A has taken loan from SBI bank, okay, now he wants to take loan from HDFC bank, remember my words, HDFC bank. So if SBI will get to know that under Stand Up India A is getting loan from HDFC India, so SBI will stop HDFC to give loan to A because he is a defaulter and he cannot apply for the loan under Stand Up India. Okay, I hope you got the point. If you didn't, please comment down in the comment section. Okay, so next thing related to loan details for Stand Up India. Sorry for the inconvenience. So what are the loan details? What is the nature of the loan? So the nature of loan under Stand Up India is composite loan. So what do you mean by composite loan? Inclusive of terms, loans and working capital. Okay, between 10 lakh and up to 100 lakhs. Means the nature of the Stand Up India loan is composite loans which will contain certain terms of loan and working capital. The next thing is purpose of loan. What will be the purpose of loan? For setting up a new enterprise in manufacturing, trading or service sector by SC, ST or a woman entrepreneur. Okay, size of loan, composite loan of 75% of the project cost should inclusive. So this statement basically says that 75% of the loan should be covered by the Stand Up India and 25% of the loan can be spent by the borrower. That's what written in this paragraph. You can pause the video and read it fully. The next thing is security. Besides primary security, so first of all let's get to understand what is primary security. So if you ever take a loan, bank will say please put some primary security. In case you default the bank, we can recover the amount we have given to you. So primary security means the first security which bank will sell to recover the loan. The loan may be secured by collateral security or guarantee of credit guarantee fund scheme for Stand Up India. Remember this because this has been asked in your ICSI mock test. Credit guarantee fund scheme for Stand Up India loans is decided by the banks. Okay. Interest rate. If I talk about interest rate, will be the lowest but not to exceed MCLR plus 3% tenor premium. Okay. The next thing is repayment. The loan must be repaid in 7 years but with maximum moratorium period of 18 months. So what do you mean by moratorium period? So whenever you take loan, you will have to pay EMIs. So if you don't pay the EMIs, so maximum period, if you default the EMIs, the maximum period is 18 months. Okay. Working capital. So if you want to obtain a debit card is issued to a borrower with maximum limit of 10 lakhs for day-to-day working capital related under Stand Up India. Now let's talk about Startup India. Very, very important topic. Okay, so Startup India scheme is an initiative by the government of India for generation of employment and wealth creation. Startup India was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 16th January 2016, which aims to generate increased employment and wealth creation. Okay, now let's talk about some of the major benefits related to Startup India. The first benefit is finance cost. Means for startup which provide unique services, so their patent. So first of all, let's get to understand what is a patent. Patent means something which is reserved for someone and someone cannot copy it. It is known as patent. And rebated. So whenever you apply for the patent, its cost is quite heavier. So 80% of the cost is taken by Indian government for encouraging startups in India. The next benefit is income tax benefit. Under Startup India, 3 years tax exemption will be given after getting certificate from Interministerial Board. Okay. Registration. So under Startup India, only a single meeting will be arranged. Okay, only a single meeting is arranged at the Startup India hub. Also, there is a single doubt and problem solving window, so you don't have to fill so many forms under Startup India to register under Startup India. The next thing is government tenders. So whenever government will issue any kind of tenders, startup will be given preferences. So why startups will be given preferences? Because startups are new and government want to encourage them. Therefore, government will give them encouragement in government tenders and will give preferences. The last one is huge networking opportunities. So if you register under Startup India, 2 fests will be organized internationally and nationally for startups to get investment and show your idea to build your network opportunities. Now registration of startups can be done in the following forms. So in this video I have also taken some MCQ related to registration of startups can be done in the following form. The first form is partnership form. The second one is limited liability partnership, as you are seeing in the building. The third one is private limited company. Okay, so in these 3 forms you can form and register your startup under these 3 forms of business organizations. Now let's talk about Skill India. So first of all, let's get to understand what do you mean by skill. Skill means those things which are necessary for an individual in order to succeed in life. Okay, so therefore government, in order to see that need, National Skill Development Corporation was formed. Let's get to understand it. Registered under Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956, which is now Section 8 under Companies Act 2013, similar to it. Okay, NSDC was set up by Ministry of Finance as public-private partnership model. So what do you mean by public-private partnership model? In the public-private partnership model, what happens that government will too have stake in the company and private individual will too have stake in the company. Okay. The government of India through Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship holds 49%, that's what I told you, in PPP model of the share capital of NSDC, while the private sector has the balance 51% of share capital in the PPP model. Okay. Remember the full form, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, very important for your MCQs. So what will be the aim of NSDC? National Skill Development Corporation aims to promote skill development by catalyzing creation of large quality and for profit vocational institutions. So since the skills will be provided, so and private individual will also be encouraged, so we called it for profit vocational institutions. NSDC acts as a catalyst in skill development by providing funding to enterprises which are involved in giving skills to youth of our country. Companies and organizations that provide skill training and 21 sectors are under pure view of NSDC to provide vocational trainings to individuals of youth. So now let's talk about schemes implemented by NSDC. The first one is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Krem, shortened for PMKK. Remember this very important short form. Okay. Now let's talk about PMKK. Vocational training needs to be made aspirational to transform India into skill capital of the world. That's why I told you in the previous slide. Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship intends to establish visible and aspirational model training centers. Okay, so Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship wants to establish model training centers. Let's see why do they want to set up this. To demonstrate aspirational value for competency based skill development training, means in order to provide best training to individual, they want to establish model training centers. The second one is, while providing training to youths, focus on quality, sustainability and connection with the stakeholders in delivery process will to be focused. The third one is, transform from a mandate food-driven food-loss model to a sustainable institutional model. So means from nothing to something. Now let's talk about funding support of the NSDC. The first one is capital expenditure. So what do you mean by capital expenditure? First of all, let's get to understand capital expenditure. Capital expenditure means something as an asset which will give benefits for multiple accounting periods. So NSDC will provide a concessional secured loan funding per sender up to 75% of the project investment. That's why I told you in the previous slides, to cover expenditure only related to. When NSDC will provide some funds, only some kind of funds will be covered under NSDC funding support. So training infrastructure including purchase of plant, machine and equipment. Okay. Now let's talk about the next one. When NSDC will provide funding, training and other associated items. The third one is civil work including setting up prefabricated structures and retrofit existing structure. Retrofit existing structure means renovation of that existing structure. Now let's talk about operation support. So operation support in which, so whenever an NSDC will set up and a 3-year mandate training will be covered under Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendra. Each PMKK will be assured a mandatory training of 3 years. Now let's talk about another thing, international skill training. A country's ability and potential for growth is determined by the size of its youth population. Youth today need to be harnessed, motivated, skilled and streamlined to bring rapid progress for a country. So please focus on this sentence because this can be asked in your MCQ. Means they first of all to be harnessed, motivated, skilled and streamlined to bring rapid changes. In terms of youth population, India is quite ahead of China and Indonesia. This can also be asked in your MCQs. Now let's talk about skill development policy. So first skill development policy was formulated in 2009 for enhancing skill population of India. Accordingly, the government framed the national policy. This is skill development policy and this is national policy for skill development entrepreneurship 2015, whose objective was to meet the challenges of skilling at scale with speed and standard quality and sustainability. So there is a difference between skill development policy is known as skill development policy, which was to be formulated in a specific area, but national policy for skill development and entrepreneurship 2015 will cover the whole nation of India. Okay, now let's talk about pre-departure orientation training. So what do you mean by pre-departure orientation training? Given the need to orient potential migrant workers, so we get to know that a lot of workers go from India to another country in order to find work. So in order to help them with regards to language, culture, do's and don'ts in the country in which they will be working, the immigration forces how to fulfill that and how to face that immigration process. Immigration process means whenever you enter into a foreign country, an immigration pass has to be taken from you. Means an interview will be taken. Why have you arrived in that particular country? Will be some questions will be asked. You don't have to go in that deep. PDOT, pre-departure orientation program had been launched for assisting the migrant workers. Okay, so it has been launched with Ministry of External Affairs in collaboration with Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship MSDE. Long variant, remember, long variant of PDOT will include 160 hours training and shorter will be of 1 day, and 52 trainers guide them who have already gone under trainers of trainers. Okay. Now let's talk about technical intern training program. So what do you mean by technical intern training program? It offers training to the workers for a specific period of 3 to 5 years in Japan's industrial society. So how do they get selected? We will get to know that. The objective is to ensure that the most competent youth is selected and sent to Japan to participate in technical intern training program. Means first of all, most competent youth will be selected, and for further enhancing their skills, they will be sent into the technical intern training program. Now let's talk about Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India and the Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Health, Labor, Welfare, Japan signed a memorandum of cooperating initiating the technical intern training program in India in October 2017. Now it has been launched with MEA and collaboration with okay, so this has been repeated, don't have to read this. Okay, now let's talk about investment in physical structure. Before that, let me tell you that investment in physical infrastructure, this is the important paragraph that I find in your institute's module. According to D&B estimates, physical infrastructure investment is expected to surge to 10.4% of GDP by financial 25, around 7.5% estimated of GDP in financial year 15. Resolution of policy and bottlenecks such as land acquisition and improvement in demand condition will also stoke private infrastructure investment. Just get to know that 10.5% surge to 7.5%. You don't have to go into the deep of this topic. Now let's talk about what is the need of entrepreneurship in India. First of all, the first one is capital formation. By mobilizing the idea of saving, whenever someone invests in a startup or entrepreneur or someone becomes an entrepreneur, savings will be mobilized in productive use. They create immediate large scale employment. So whenever an entrepreneur will start a business or startup, then what will happen? Employment will automatically generate. They promote balanced regional development by establishing industry in rural, remote and less developed regions. The fourth one is they help reduce the concentration of economic powers. So what do you mean by concentration of economic powers? Concentration of economic powers means, so to reduce the power, so for example Ambani's, Tata's, Birla's, these are all the very very big people, so they always contribute a big amount in the economy of India. So to reduce their amount and distribute concentration of economic power to other hands, this will be helped by entrepreneurs of India. Last but not the least, also promotes country's export business. If startup is involved in a unique business, then definitely export will increase of India. Now let's talk about bottlenecks in entrepreneurial growth. So what do you mean by bottlenecks? Bottlenecks means certain limitation in entrepreneurial growth. Okay, the first one is inefficient time management. So what do you mean by inefficient time management? So most entrepreneurs think on infinite time scale as though they have plenty of time to achieve their goal. Time is the most valuable resource, yet most entrepreneurs don't use it effectively. Means entrepreneurs first of all think that they have to chase the next big thing, but they waste a lot of time in just planning, okay, but they don't execute. MC Kisney and co reported that the next era of supply chain management will be hands on autonomous vehicles and network of smart programs that can be optimized efficiently. So inefficient time management basically means entrepreneurs should spend their time on thinking of what to do in next days, not to do on the next 3 years. Okay, they have to be currently present in the present era. The second one is lack of funding. Inadequate funds like less funding will also be an hindrance in the startup, can hinder expansion. So whenever you want to expand, you need funding, and lack of money can be a bottleneck in entrepreneurship growth. The third one is too much of noise. Building and running a startup can become too complex when the entrepreneur is trying to cut through the noise generated through social media marketing apps. It's enough to make entrepreneurs think that they need to chase down the next big thing and clamor for the media lamp. Instead of claiming the media light, to see our social media that how much famous will we get, it's useless, and we should focus on our goals of startup and how to build it. Okay. Now let's talk about a small or non-existing network. Being a first entrepreneurial with a near non-existent industry, developing contact is one of the biggest thing to overcome it. So if you are the first entrepreneur in your family, then it will quite be difficult to establish networks with someone in order to establish a business. A strong network very crucial and important, but strong networks are not built through viral campaigns or flashy market. Means through the advertising you cannot build your network. They develop over years, means silence, when through continuous hard work networks are overbuilt. Okay, in Japan and China, sustainable strong network and integral part of the value chain and supply chains are considered. Now, growing too much too soon, it means that focusing on expansion rather than stabilizing the customer base. It means that by acquisition of customer, a startup cannot succeed until and unless it stabilizes the customers. The best example is when Groupon, a US-based startup, started the concept of online couponing in 2006. It saw tremendous hit, but Groupon focused on too much of customer acquisition and not on enough customers retention. So when the company rushed to scale, it had not dealt with pre-existing issues. Within 9 months, it filed for IPO, and the IPO got failed, and this was a failed startup, growing too much and too soon. Means they did not focus on stabilizing the customers. Now let's solve some MCQs quickly. According to a report, 3 million youth will be entered into the labor force by 2025. This I didn't tell you in the lecture, but the correct answer is Indian Labour Report. The second question is, the Stand Up India scheme is managed by which of the following ministry? The answer is Ministry of Finance. Most entrepreneurs think of infinite time scales as though they have tons of to achieve their goals. They mention phase related to which of the following bottom. This correct answer is inefficient time management. Make in India program was launched when? September 2014. So registration of the startups cannot be done in which of the following form? The first and correct answer is public limited company. So that's it for today's guys. Thanks for watching. For current affairs daily updates, you can join Smarty Education WhatsApp group. For joining our group, send message on this number, and if any doubt, comment down below. Till then, goodbye, or you can message me always on this number.